Hi, Paul. How are you? You good? Yeah, thanks for doing this.
Are you already
off and running? Yeah,
right.
I tend to kind of just waffle on, and then it starts in the mid conversation, but it's always hard. I just like to start it when it starts. But thanks for coming in.
Thanks for asking me to do it.
No, that's all right. I'm sure you've done this a million times at the minute, so.
A few times, not that many, but I'm.
All right, okay, yeah. You're
been a few guests on other people's podcasts a few times and done a few of my own, but keen to do more.
Yeah, because I'm guessing you're the probably go-to guy in the Northeast to do these things, especially for business, because with your startup weeks event, which you do. And you're known as the Super Connector as well, which is it's a kind of good title to have, because it explains everything in one word or two words.
Yeah, well,
it depends on how you've titled it.
Yeah, because a few people, obviously that grabs people's attention when they see it, and they either go, oh, that's interesting, they go, what a wanker. So in there, but I think if people know who I am and what I do, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I mean, I know we mentioned it last week. We kind of had a conversation when we first met, which was about 5 days ago. And I think we should just recorded that, because I think we're sitting chatting for an hour and 15, but we went off on a tangent and talking about like movies and TV and stuff like that. But it's good. It's kind of that's what it's all about, the conversation with a person and seeing what makes them tick, which is the reason why I kind of started this thing, is to talk to people who I'm interested in and what makes people tick.
Well, most of my meetings, if I meet someone for the first time, they do kind of go all around the houses sort of thing, but throughout that, I'm thinking I'm joining the dots all the time. Yeah. So that was just a getting to know each other sort of thing. But if someone came to me for help or advice with their business, that's how I do tend to have conversations. And then throughout that way, I'm spotting opportunities to bring things together for that person that I'm talking to. So I think that is kind of a skill that you learn, that you're always thinking, how can you see things that the other person can't see, and how you can add value to what they're doing and what I'm doing. Yeah, I mean, is that not just the best way, really, of kind of getting to know people, is just sitting down and chatting? Because when it's informal, I think you find out more about the person, and that's what it should be, to help the person, because they're there for a reason. They are who they are for a reason, and I think personality, coming into the business side, I think it's got to cross over a little bit for me, especially when you want to get an honest reflection about somebody. And that's important. Yeah, well, you should hopefully get a deeper connection as well to that person. I mean, we were talking about music, what sort of music you like, what sort of music you like, what TV, went all around the houses. But that's actually like quite a traditional sort of Nordic, sort of Viking, Northeast sort of way. Is it really? Yeah. Conversations and storytelling. Well, I know you're really into storytelling. That's why you're doing these podcasts as well. But they're usually quite rambling, kind of traditional, sort of northeastern storytelling. Yeah, but I mean, this is just a great excuse. It's nice to sit down and just have a long conversation with somebody, because you never know where it's going to go. And I mean, that's how you find out. I think that's how you kind of get to know people. So if you do this, like, you sort of sit down face to face, having a chat, then next time we see each other, you feel like you've known that person for like even a couple of years. It depends, you kind of click or you don't click, but even if you don't, you're still finding things out about people and what makes them tick. Yeah, I think it's becoming even more important now, especially in the kind of social media world that we're living. It's quite fleeting. You're not. I've made a career, I suppose, using social media. So I love social media, particularly Twitter. Twitter's my thing. But it's 140 characters, 180 characters, or whatever. You can't really kind of understand what's going on behind something. So people are making very quick decisions on whether they think something's good or not, right? But to go deeper into a person and what they do, or a subject, through the podcast, I think that's becoming really important. Yeah, it's tough because you can get like little sound bites of a personality, but some people are good writers. Yeah, some people can hide behind those characters, and it's so easy to kind of play up to kind of clickbait, if you know what I mean. I mean, Twitter's not necessarily clickbait
arena, but it has its cliques.
Yeah.
And it's a place where people can get on the soapbox a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
because the conversation will start and then the thread starts, and that's the thread is your opportunity to have the conversation within more than 140 characters or something. I don't know whether they stretched it out, did they? I'm not sure whether they kind of expanded on that. But,
well, it went, no, it went to 240, didn't it?
It did it really. They kind of stretched it out, but
I should know this. We should know.
Yeah, it's just it's kind of interesting, but it's not a true kind of reflection of the person as well. When you kind of getting little bits on Twitter, because everyone's trying to promote things all the time. I get it, because you need to put yourself out there. You're competing with everybody else, so it feels to me that you've put yourself in a nice position where you're this guy who I don't think you're competing with anyone else. You're just competing with you and what you kind of want to do. And that, to me, that's quite interesting. It's fascinating to me. I keep saying fascinating. I describe everything as fascinating. It's just
haven't been described as fascinating for a while.
Well,
so
I can't. Yeah, I just want to keep away from the amazing, because there's not many things amazing, really. Sure, and it's really interesting. Do you feel you're not pushed into, I have to do this, I have to do that, or do you personally push yourself into, I need to do that, I think I should be doing that? How do you function? How do you operate? Kind of.
Yeah. Well, I've definitely feel like I've carved out a bit of a niche for doing what I do, because I have built up an above average number of followers on social media, particularly on Twitter, right? So great. So what, right? I don't just talk about myself all the time. I talk about. I'm very consistent. I'll talk about business startups, entrepreneurship. I'll talk about innovation. I'll talk about marketing. I'll talk about the Northeast. That's it. That's really all I talk about all the time. And then I do promote things that I'm doing, obviously, to hope that I think add value to other people, and hopefully set a good example, positive example to people. But I don't tend to talk about personal stuff on Twitter. Yeah. And but also, I do spend a lot of time signposting, matchmaking, sharing other people's content as well, because somebody might only have a couple of hundred followers on Twitter and I've got like 11,300 or whatever, right? But if I promote them, I'm giving them a little bit of a leg up.
Well, yeah, it's a kind of little bit of a nudge as well. I mean, that's kind of what you're all about, isn't it? Because you're connecting people, and the title Super Connector is pretty much that, isn't it?
Yeah,
in a nutshell, you're helping people, but kind of what I mean, what got you to this point? Because clearly, you've had a journey. You've been on work for other companies. You've had another life, and what got you to this point, doing this, what you do now?
Yeah. So I've talked about it quite a few times online and offline.
Talk about it again.
Well, I'll talk about it again. So I mean, the term Super Connect, I try to be really quick. So there's most of my career, most of the jobs that I've done have been helping other people. I've been paid to give help and advice, signposting, matchmaking, sometimes giving out a little bit of funding as well for new businesses, new startups or entrepreneurship, right? So that's something I've been drawn to. Like I like doing that. I think I've got quite good empathy with other people, and I'm quite good at understanding where people are coming from and how to help them in the best way. So I've worked for Sage twice. I've worked for British Airways. I've worked for Project Northeast, which is a local enterprise agency. Worked for youth enterprise schemes. Worked for the government. Doing all these jobs, I've been paid to help other people, and that's what I like doing. And then finally start my own business. But if I go back to, I think it was 2011, 2012, there's a book called The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell. And in that he talks about why there's loads of great ideas in the world, but why are some ideas successful and others aren't? And he talks about 3 kind of types of person that you need involved. So he says you need what are called mavens, people who just love finding out about new things. You need connectors, people who don't just tell 1 or 2 people about something. They'll actively go out of their way to tell as many relevant people as possible. They'll even like sit back and think, who do I know that would benefit from knowing about this? They'll go through their phone book, they'll go through the contacts. And then the third type of person is sales / marketing people. And when I read that, I thought, well, I think I'm a maven. I love finding out about new things, and I'm a pretty good connector. that I do that anyway, and then I'm pretty good at marketing. So how do I combine all three to be the best possible connector I can be? So from that point onwards, I've set out to be a super connector, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen the benefit of that through the work that I do, both online and offline, and I've just got better and better, and it just comes natural to me to do that.
Do you feel you've got to put equal amount of effort into each area? I mean, obviously the interest comes naturally, but as for marketing, as for the sales and stuff like that, do you feel are you stronger in one area than the other, or have you just learned to be evenly spread, across the board?
Good question. I think I'm pretty even on all three.
Yeah.
Something if you've got an above average number of followers on social media, it becomes easier to market and promote. I'm pretty good at writing blogs. I'm pretty good at media. I've been very successful at getting a lot of positive media coverage. So I mean, even on the Newcastle Startup Week website, there's a page with all the press and media, and it's pretty much every month since September 2016 we've had at least one or two positive bits of media coverage, either in print, online, podcasts, videos, whatever. It's just a constant stream of positive stuff going out all the time. I'm definitely stronger at I think written communication than I am visual. I'm more comfortable writing about things or being behind the scenes than I am being front and center.
The face off kind of.
That's why I like podcasts as well. I like having conversations with people like all day, every day. I'm having conversations in some way, and I do spend a lot of time having coffees and chats and conversations with people.
Do you ever get kind of bored with it though? Do you ever get like just a little bit? I've already talked about this, because obviously I'm asking you the question of how did you start out and how did you come to this? I know we can cover it lightly, which you've done extremely well. But does it ever come a point where I've talked about this about 15 times? Because I mean, that is marketing in itself, is to kind of keep banging on and repeat till it's second nature to people out there.
Not really.
No.
I think I've probably bored my wife and the kids because I'll shut up again. And, I mean, the only time I get really bored is like if I'm listing all the places I've worked at, because like, that's like I've worked for a lot of different places.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, because all of the interviews and people who you talk to, you must obviously be talking about a lot of the same things as well. Like I'm sort of sitting here, asking you similar questions. But it's nice because obviously, you can kind of approach it in a different way, or give the answer in a different way, or a roundabout way.
I guess what I'm hoping is I'm hoping that other people will think, oh, well, I could do that as well, because it's. I think that probably maybe one of the downsides of doing what I'm doing is that sometimes people think, oh, well, you're doing that, so I don't need to do it.
Yeah,
and ideally, I would like more people to do what I'm doing, and I don't know why they don't. Because
I mean, imagine if there was 10, and then you all kind of could help each other. The super connectors helping the super connectors.
It kind of does happen. Like there's people around me who I think, whether they realise it or not, I think it's rubbed off on them a little bit, because they've started behaving a bit more like that instead of, because unfortunately it's not a normal thing. It doesn't come naturally to people. People are usually so focused on their own stuff that they don't think to support or promote other people. But if everyone did a little bit more, then I mean, people do help in other ways, but like it's such a simple, easy thing to do. It's just with a bit of thought and a little bit of time, it's not that difficult what I'm doing. It's the mindset. It's like, do you want to do it? And then do you actually give a shit or not?
I mean, do you think it's kind of, obviously society set in its ways of competition and competing, especially when you're in a smaller pond? And do you think obviously the competition's too much, so can't be seen to be helping anybody else? But it depends on what you're doing. But if everyone's kind of helping everybody, it should help the big game in the long run. I would think, because
it depends exactly what you
because you can see with podcasting, people are kind of helping each other out with different things, and it's crossing over, and there seems to be a fairly decent community in that. Then the mindset of you know, because I work in that world of the competition is rife, and there's, you know, there's not many jobs, and it's just the competition thing. It's exhausting.
No,
it really is exhausting.
Definitely what you're doing with photography and videography, and so I can see why that's very competitive. But it can be a competitive advantage given and sharing and using your platform to help others. Yeah, because that, in a way, that there's no real downside to it other than like you're helping other people, you're also raising your profile, and you're all benefiting from that, and you're also positioning yourself to be kind of, you're rising above that a little bit. You're taking on like even what you're doing here with the podcast, you're setting yourself apart from other guys doing what you're doing, because you're going deeper into the subject matter, and you're providing a platform for the people around you as well, which I'm not aware of anyone else doing what you do who's doing podcasts as well.
No, I mean, you know, and it's not consciously the reason why I'm doing it either, is to go, you've got to be different. Well, no, because I'm trying to compete with myself all the time. I don't kind of seek out to be, what you know, I've got to be better than this, doing this, just different to this. I get bored with boxes and lanes and kind of, you know, and that to me is, I just kind of want to do what I feel is right and what I kind of want to do. Because sitting here, you know, putting yourself out there as a person, possible, you know, personality, whatever it is, you know, scares the life out of me. But I'm more interested in the people that overtakes, and then it helps me just sit here, because I'm not bothered. I'm just sitting here having a conversation, and it just goes out, and I'm not bothered after this conversation how it goes out, although you have to be, but you just put it out there and go, all right, forget about it. All right, who's the next person you want to talk to? And that's what I try and focus on, is who you want to talk to next, or what's intriguing, and, you know, because you have a million different thoughts every day about lots of different things, and that to me is interesting. It changes all the time, constantly. So I haven't got time and energy to be focusing on, I'm competing with this and that person and this person. No, I'm competing with myself. That's hard enough. I don't need anybody else in this bucket to be kind of, you know, to be fighting with. So
Well, the good thing, it's funny because it, like, another title of the podcast is it's the overthinker, isn't it?
Well, it is, I mean, that waffle there is probably just explain everything to you.
But it's good because you got. I think if you can try and retain that, where you're not thinking too much, you're not thinking, okay, what's gonna get loads of traffic? What's the analytics like? Who's next? Who's up? Who's down? You know, all that. If you overthink it, that's when it gets in the way of the creative process. So being able to just have an idea and then just do it as quickly as possible without overthinking it is a real strength if you can keep doing that.
Well, that's the thing. It's not to say that I haven't done that, because I do that constantly, but I have now making decisions, I'll just go, right, forget what your brain's telling you, just do it, just go out and do it. So trust you're trying to stop the overthinker and trying to push out what you feel is right, and trust your instincts, trust your gut, just do it anyway and see what happens. What's the worst that can happen?
I think that's why I think that's why I like social media so much, is that you know, at a certain level, I do think, you know, like, I'm careful what I put out, because, you know, I think when you do have a certain number of people following you, or like,
you have a responsibility, don't you? Really?
Well, you know, so I'm careful to a certain extent. Like, if I did something totally out of the ordinary, people would notice, and people do notice, and sometimes, occasionally, you get people having a pop at you as well. It's like, it's hard not to respond. Like, even if it's like, I
think a lot of people want the reaction. Because there's something that they're not feeling good about themselves for, so they'll have a pop at, he seems to be positive all the time. Let's see if I can make him crack. I think that's sort of, that to me is, you're always trying to think of what they're thinking about, and you go, all right, okay, but not fall into the trap. But you know this, and you know it's a professional platform which you need to stick to. It's the same as all the platforms, you know. Facebook's more personal, Twitter's more business, LinkedIn's super business, corporate, and Instagram's just it's a free for all, isn't it? Really. So
well, people are usually really well behaved on LinkedIn, because it's so closely linked to their career. So people generally are very well behaved on LinkedIn.
Well, it's kind of like-minded people who just want to better themselves and better what they're doing, or
and it can reflect badly on them if they trash talk on there. But like on Twitter, sometimes it's like Tourette's. Sometimes people are literally just, you think, take that phone off you, like just get off Twitter, because sometimes people are just talking utter bollocks, and it's like, what you doing? You're just like, and like I say, very rarely happens, but like sometimes I'll just see something that's like, what you do? And sometimes if they're totally wrong, totally off what they're saying, you could just leave it. But it's like, no, and I don't necessarily get in an argument with it, but I'll explain to them why they're wrong.
Yeah.
In a polite, diplomatic way, because I think sometimes people just get away with saying stuff and there's no repercussion, but there is a repercussion because they can have a negative impact on the people around them, and I try to be as positive and motivational, uplifting. I don't know.
I mean, to me, all it takes is one bad thing to say, and that could reflect on the rest of your life, which I don't think people are aware of. The thing, because they're sitting in their own little bubble, they're sending it directly to you. Well, you never know, someone who you don't want to see that comment might say that comment, you know? Unless they know you personally, they don't know the tone of voice that the words are written in. And I think that's a hard thing about even just sending emails. I prefer to pick up a phone and chat to people because it's hard to read, and especially if it's going to be a difficult one. It's going to be a difficult email, or you're trying to like go, all right, okay, this is like that. This is enough, kind of thing. You know, we need to have a conversation. Pick the phone up, because normally you're all sitting there going, well, how am I going to read this? How does this person, do they think like this? Do they think like that? Well, if you pick the phone up, then you would get to that point quicker. You know, and I think you get the conclusion quicker. It's always best if you
can have a proper conversation with people, because like even I think it was a few weeks ago, someone posted something like basically having a bit of a snidey comment about Superconnector. It was like, what did they say? They said something like, on my social media, I'm seeing so-called Superconnector. There's nobody who's a Superconnector in the Northeast, and basically just like rubbish. And it was clearly, or it seemed like it was clearly aimed at me, because like, well, I'm the only one with Superconnector in my bio. Like, most people know me as Superconnector, or know that I call myself a Superconnector. So you're clearly having a go, but it wasn't directed at me. It was just a tweet out into the public. So I was like, what are you doing? And this person I've helped a lot, right? I've given them quite a lot of help and given them opportunities, right? So I was like, so I just replied. I was like, I hope you're not like referring to me, because and then they came back and they're like, oh no, why do you think they're talking about you? And it clearly was, right? Yeah.
Was it just because they were having a bad month or something like that?
I think they were having a bad time, but I was like, look, anyway, I probably had 6 people message me going, what's going on here? Why is this guy like saying that? What a dick, or like why is he written? And it's like, right, okay. So then I found myself excusing their behaviour, because I know kind of that they've been having some issues, but it was like, but still the fact that we're doing that made them look bad, but it potentially,
well, it did if 6 other people have got in touch with you.
So who else has seen that as well? And then people have seen that I'm responding to anyway. Anyway, and so that's 6 people sent me messages, private messages, and then another few people offline have noticed it as well. So anyway, this person, I saw them a couple of days ago, and I just said, what was that all about? And he was like, oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't directed at you. Right, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but we just had that conversation.
And I explained if 6, 7, 8 people have thought the same thing as yourself, then more exactly have thought the same thing as well.
So it was fine. Like he had a reason, or he was saying it was because of someone else, and he'd had a bad day, and he'd had a few things go wrong that week or whatever. But I just had that conversation, and I felt better, and I think he probably felt better that it was that would have, instead of just leaving it to fester and like whenever you see each other, you're like dickhead. So it's like,
well, it's really hard, because you know it is all about that there which you're talking about, and the amount of times I've deleted something which I thought I'll not put out. It's just, even if you're in a silly mood and you think of something that just comes straight to you, which somebody said, no, that's not right. It's not right for this platform, or someone might take it the wrong way. So you've got to kind of pull back. Whereas if it's to a close friend on Facebook and things, then you might be able to get away with it. But I know what you're saying. It just reflects on you badly, even if it's not intentional. And that's the problem, I think. You know, I mean, I've had it so many times. We talked about social media. It's like every episode, social media gets brought up, but it's every day in our lives. It's such a big thing. We've all got issues with it. We're all addicted to the phones. Our parents, we're parents, and we're trying to get the kids off. But how are you going to get the kids off it when you're the same? Your actions are kind of reflecting on what they see. And you're trying to teach them, and that it's kind of and it's hard enough day to day, but I think it's also about being aware of your limitations. Just put it down. Don't post that Twitter when you're a little bit asleep on something. And I think there's a reason for saying sleep on it.
It's cool now, and it was fine, and I'm glad we had that conversation. But like, it was still, I felt awkward to bring that up, but I was like, look, I have to say something, because otherwise. And it was fine. I'm glad we did, but that person did acknowledge that I need to not post stuff on Twitter when I'm feeling bad or something's getting to us. So he acknowledges that it wasn't a good thing, and he's been posting a few things, not just about me, but other people, and it's like, do you see how that, like, you're doing loads of good stuff over here, but these things are reflecting badly on you. So don't undo all the good stuff by posting.
It only takes one bad thing, doesn't it, to kind of undo everything, every good thing that you've done. So
I don't, but if I suddenly went on a rant about
you just have a rant at home,
and then I go to sleep and I wake up and go, oh dear, what was I doing there?
I mean, a very similar thing is I just want to talk about your profile picture, which we mentioned last week, because super connected business, you expect this slick guy with a suit, and here's you, profile picture with your hood up, and it's been mentioned to you before as well. But I quite like that, because to me it's an intriguing about. There's something very much individual about this person, and there's reasons around why you've done that and why you've put that up there, and that to me is interesting. Even just that profile picture says a lot about you, without even sitting down talking to you, and especially in business startups, is it the kind of, there's people, he's doing that, it's a youthful thing. Well, no, it's not. It's kind of,
well, that's what I wear. Puds all the time. That's me. That's what I look like all the time. So,
but do you feel a pressure in kind of having a to look a certain way, to be a certain way? But when you walk in the door, people are kind of, okay. Hi,
not really.
Are you Paul? Does it change people's opinions or not?
No, I think I kind of. That's what I look like all the time. So
it doesn't bother you at all, kind of.
I mean, the only,
have you got to justify yourself when you walk into a meeting or anything like that?
No, not at all. Because I guess there's quite. Even without thinking about it, there is a lot of deep stuff going on there, I suppose. So it was part of a photo shoot. And then I was asked, where do you want to do the photo shoot? Right. So the photo shoot was done at the Mining Institute, which is just around the corner from here, next to the train station. So have you ever been in the Mining Institute? No. So it's basically when the mining industry took off, right, when lots of people were dying because the mines were collapsing, or there was explosions and stuff like that, right? So these like mine owners got together and said, look, we need to sort this out, because it's terrible that all these people are dying, but it's also bad for business, right? So how do we come together and share knowledge and best practice, right? So they set up the Mining Institute, and there's a place, Neville Hall, which is literally next to the Lytton Phil, just next to the train station. So arguably that's the world's first co-working space, right? Because they brought together, they had a library, but they had engineers, mine owners and investors all hanging out together, sharing knowledge and ideas and creating opportunities for each other and stuff like that. And then the knowledge that was shared there was then exported all around, so the global mining industry can be traced back to that place. So that's very kind of symbolic and fitting with what I'm all about, is like promoting the Northeast as this kind of amazing place of innovation and invention and industrial activity throughout hundreds of years. but we're still doing it to this day. So then when you go in, the photo, which is the header of my Twitter bio, and most ones, I'm sat there on a table, and it looks like stained glass windows in a church behind me, but there's no religious iconography on there. It's all like hammer and chisel and tools of the trade. So it's quite unusual to have someone in that kind of very traditional environment in a hoodie, right? And then just me and the photographer were just playing around with images, and because I had the hood, I just put the hood up and I just thought it looked quite cool. But my background is so yes, I'm trying to, I guess everything I'm trying to do is I'm trying to remove barriers, level the playing field, say that anyone, doesn't matter what you look like, who you are.
Yeah, I kind of got that from the picture. Yeah, you just sort of going, well, this is me, and this is who I am.
And the stereotypical image of what a business person is not. It's outdated. Yes, certain sectors, certain industries, you're going to look a certain way. But if you're a bit more entrepreneurial or a bit more creative or in digital or whatever, then you're probably not going to be all suited and booted all the time.
Yeah, I think it's changed throughout the years as well, especially now, like CEOs and tech companies, especially big ones, Silicon Valley. Yeah, the owner of the company who's walking around in like shorts and t-shirt most of the time, and I think that's changed. Yeah, the whole, I think, work attire, especially in companies like that, because it's one of those that you can get away with it. It can kind of cross over into leisure wear, even if you're the boss of a company. But why not? You can kind of wear what you want.
Well,
really.
even I've noticed it in it. So since I started work, so my first job after university was working for Sage. Right, so I was on the help desks doing tech support for their payroll software for 2 years. But I still had to wear a shirt and tie. Right, okay. Even though I was on the phone, and never saw a customer. That was part of them saying, like, you're in a professional environment, you should dress professionally, kind of get in the right mindset. But then I went back 13 years later, and everybody's wearing t-shirts, jeans, trainers, hoodies. A totally different environment. Yeah. Maybe the more senior people, or the people who are out doing the kind of more corporate biz dev partnership.
Yeah, when they've got meetings with the like-minded folk all the time, but it's still. I mean, there's a softness to it. You can wear a blazer with a shirt or whatever. Yeah, exactly. You don't have to be suit and tie all the time, which is quite nice to see.
Exactly. And then and then the other stuff going on there. I am really into. Well, we talked about music last time. So I was a DJ, producer, club promoter for a while. So I probably thought, okay, well, if I was still a DJ producer, that's the image I would want. Yeah. So there's probably a little bit of that.
Yeah, because that kind of, it's who you are, and it's kind of what's developed, you as a person. Yeah. Well, obviously there's still a passion and a love for that. I mean, do you still do music?
No. So I sold my turntables and my mixer and all my music samplers, all my music production. I sold it all. Yeah. And I've kept all my records. So I can't bring myself to sell my records. So I've got a loft full of vinyl records, like basically the history of dance music from the late 80s to kind of the mid 2006 or something. Yeah. I mean, 2013, I think. Yeah.
Have records in the dance community, are they back as much as records are for albums and bands and stuff like that? I mean, because now it's the resurgence of vinyl is back.
I mean, that's exciting. It can go through phases, but I keep reading stuff that vinyl sales are back up again. You know, it's probably, I think a lot of that's probably more sort of bands and sort of, even if you go into HMV or even some supermarkets, it's like the classics, Yeah.
So it's more independent shops now, record shops that are opening, but they're doing really well. I don't know whether it's just a generational thing, because in photography world, film's back. Everyone's shooting on film now, which is, and all the film cameras are worth twice as much as what you sold them for 10 years ago on eBay. So now there seems to be, there's a generational thing, and kind of once it gets a bit of a trend going, I think that's what happens, especially with younger people, because everyone wants to, I don't know, they like to follow little cliques and groups and stuff like that. So I think that's possibly similar to vinyl, you know. But I wondered whether or not they're back in the clubs, or they're not.
Well, it's been a while since I've been in a club in that
all of these things. So I just wondered if you were you knew anybody, or you kept in touch with that kind of scene still or not.
not really. I mean, I follow stuff, but I mean, yeah, I mean, I think there's a little bit of me that's like quite. One day I might come out of retirement, you know. Been toying with the idea for a while.
Dust up the decks. Yeah.
Because I mean, I'd probably be terrible now, but but at one point that was it. That's all I wanted to do. That was going to be my life.
So you're just doing that part time as when you were working as well.
So basically, I was always the kid at school who had the records before anyone else. Encyclopedic knowledge of artists, labels. Production credits, just knew everything about the music. Growing up, I was really into the whole Manchester, you know, Hacienda, Acid House, indie explosion, all that sort of stuff. So I've always been into every type of music. I'm really into heavy metal, rock, hip hop, you name it. I'm into it. But most of my money got spent on dance music, like house music and techno and breakbeat and stuff like that. So I was just a collector. I was just that was my hobby. I just loved buying records and making mixtapes at home and stuff like that. And then I thought, wouldn't it be great to have a DJ gig once? And then when I went to university, that's when I started gigging, getting quite regular gigs, doing fashion shows and entering competitions and winning competitions and doing some amateur club nights and stuff. And then when I came back home, so I was at Leeds Uni, and Leeds was a massive city for house music. So it's interesting as well. When I was growing up, like in the northeast, it was like a harder sound. It was a lot more kind of what they call techno, but they used to call it hardcore, like very kind of heavy sounds, even influenced by like something called Gabba from Rotterdam, like really fast, hard techno sort of stuff. But I always liked more vocally sort of house as well. And when I went to Leeds, it was a much softer, more soulful, R&B influenced house and garage sort of stuff. So I was like, oh, this is a totally different world that I'm liking as well. And then a bit in between, the sort of breakbeat sort of stuff, rave, acid house, so into all of this sort of stuff. So even within dance music, there's a very broad spectrum of stuff. But then I started hanging out with a group of people here in Newcastle who were putting on every Sunday night. They were putting on club nights at the old Egypt Cottage Club on City Road. Okay. So every Sunday there was a late afternoon, early evening rave basically going on, and there was hardly anyone in there, just us. Like we're just DJing for ourselves and just sharing music and stuff. And then I started making my own music productions, and I got signed to a local label, and then just got doing more stuff like that. So I did some productions, remixes, started DJing more regularly.
So did you think
DJing all around the world? I've been to Rome, Malta, Washington DC, Sacramento, Miami, Seoul, Prague, Budapest, London. DJed all over.
So did you think that was going to go into that?
I thought I was going to
because just it seems like it was a natural progression, and you just kind of just went.
Well, I was doing it in my spare time. I was living at home at the time with my parents, so I had quite a lot of free time. And then, so I'd left Sage. I was working for British Airways at the time. I was making music, had my first record signed, and then I actually got made redundant from British Airways when 9/11 happened. Right, shows how long ago it was, and actually. It sounded like it was a terrible thing, but I wasn't bothered about myself, if you know what I mean. I was like, a lot of people, oh no, how are we going to find another job? And I was actually thinking, I'm just going to be a superstar DJ. So I just said I remember saying to my parents, I'm not even going to look for a job. I just want to focus on this. Yeah. So for 12 months, that's all I did. I was signing on and off the dole, right? Because I don't know if you've ever been on the dole, but if you leave the country, you have to sign off. Yeah. So I'd be like, I've got a gig in Prague this weekend. They're like, well, you have to sign off. All right, okay. Then sign on again the weekend. So just this weird double life where I was skint but really happy because I was that creative outlet and making music, producing, doing remixes, start my own little record label, start doing some club nights, just having an amazing time. So yeah, skint but happy.
Yeah,
because I had that creative outlet.
Well, when you're young, you can afford to do that, and you can just, you've got the freedom, and you're not thinking about anything else. You've got no responsibility, so it's good to be selfish, because you can afford to be selfish in those times. So kind of, how did that fizzle out? Did you just kind of decide, I need some money, or just things kind of stopped? Just your mindset was changing, or
so what? What starts as a hobby, you're just doing it for the pure love of it. And then you think, oh, can I make a living out of this? And then that changes things when you start being a business, thinking, because I was like, okay, I'm going to have a label, I'm going to do club nights and stuff. So I was being less creative, because I was more focused on the business side of things, and that was annoying me, actually, that I wasn't being as creative. And really, with hindsight, I didn't know anything about business. And like, sweeping statement, but a lot of creatives aren't very good at business, because they just want to be creative, and they just want to do it for the love of it. And I was like that, because I was kind of grateful that someone liked my music enough that they would want me to DJ for them, or so I rarely asked to get paid. I was just thankful for the opportunity. And then even when I went abroad, I would get my flights and all my hotels, and occasionally I'll get a bit of money, but usually it was just the experience, just having an amazing time. But I did make some money from royalties and getting paid to do remixes, and so I made a bit of money, but I wasn't. If I did it now, I'd be a lot better at it, I think. But ideally, that's why a lot of musicians, artists need a manager around them, so that they can focus on being creative and someone else can focus on the business side of things. Yeah,
it's a team effort, isn't it?
It's very difficult to do it all on your own. But basically, to answer your question about fizzling out, after 12 months of being on the door, I thought, actually, I need some money. It was coming up to Christmas, so I got a job actually in HMV, which I thought I would love, but I absolutely hated it. Because I just thought, oh, it's going to be great. I'm going to be in a record shop. There's going to be music I'm going to be talking about, and actually it wasn't that much fun. And also there's a bit of pride there as well. I would see people that I used to work with, and there's me buying there's nothing wrong with working in a shop, but it was like there's someone coming and buying, and I'm buying the tills. I just felt I should be doing something different, or I should be doing something. If it was my own record shop, I would be happier. But working for just one of many people, and nothing special in that environment.
Well, it kind of sounds like you've always had that mindset, though, a mentality, because when you said you were DJing and you always had the records before anybody else had them and all that kind of thing, so you're always being this individual person, and you always kind of want to do your own thing, so that sort of fits perfectly with where you are now and what you're doing now, because you kind of stand on your own 2 feet, helping people, but doing it on your own, in your own way. And especially, you can. It seems like you've still got the passion as well. And does that help when you're working with startups and young people? Is it necessarily all young people as well for startups or not?
No. That's people of all ages, all walks of life, different stages in their career. So that's something with the Newcastle Startup Week Festival that I run. I'm really, really pleased that when we do the research and show where people who people are, it is all ages. It's because I think the word startup is like people think it's young.
You think it's
male
first
tech?
They're all coming out of uni. They're starting a business.
No, it's. I think it's the last. So we did an impact report which people can download from our website, which explains the exact figures. But it's about 60-40 male female, but a lot of people are over 30 and over 40. So it's generally not young people who are coming to the event. There's a lot of people who are in business at the minute, but they want to learn how to be more entrepreneurial, and they're not quite ready to start a business yet, but they're curious. So we're serving a need there, because that's another thing as well. I'm not one to say it's great, anyone can do it, quit your job tomorrow, start, because it's not easy and it's not right for everyone. But I want people to come to our events and find out about what it really takes, and our speakers that I choose are very honest about the ups and downs of self-employment. And then if people after they come to the event they still want to do it, then great, because they're better equipped for it. But equally, if someone decides actually I'm not ready for this, that's a good result as well. It's better if people don't get into difficulties, because and even when I used to work for P&E, Project Northeast, we used to talk about that. We used to say if someone comes for free business advice and they decide that it's not right for them, that is a good result. Whereas some organisations, they're just about, let's get as many people to start a business as possible. It doesn't actually matter what the consequences are. It's all about us ticking a box and saying we've got so many new people starting a business. Yeah. So that they get more funding, they get paid.
Right.
For
okay.
that.
Yeah. So they're getting the bonuses and the numbers.
But I'm not beholden to that, because I don't have any funding. I don't have anyone telling me I have to hit a certain number or anything. So there's a lot of freedom in that as well, that I can be a lot more open and honest with the highs and lows and downsides and upsides of self-employment.
I mean, it's very similar. We were always told at college that you wouldn't make it, and there's a very small chance in you making it, and you've really got to be like kind of going home and passionate about it. You've got to be 100% in it, because there isn't a job out there to do. You've got to go and create the job yourself. You can possibly go and work for somebody, but there's like one job or something, that's it. So, and then you've got to move on from there, and that kind of always stuck with you, because now they like the advice from lecturers and people who did it like in the game as well, they said just don't do something else, because well, the thing is, if that's,
so it can work both ways, because some people respond well to that.
If you can get through that and you go, okay, I'm not going to listen anyway, I'm just going to do it because I have to do it, then that's a good thing, because that's exactly the result that they need, is the fact that you're not going to listen to this. Plus, it's all negativity. You get rejected every other day. You know, because you might not get the job. You've shown a book. People like the picture, they don't, and this. You know, you get a client, you lose a client. It's never ending. But that is business in itself. And if you talk to somebody who's been in the game 20 years, I don't think there'd be anybody who can sit back and go, yeah, it's been plain sailing. You know, we've had a continuous upcycle for 20 years. I don't think that happens, but everyone looks at like new people, and I mean, one of the big examples that I'm going to say is Gymshark, because young people look at Gymshark going, well, they did it, I can do this too. Well, a guy did it in the States, Under Armour. He was a student and he started that, exactly the same thing. And the guys at Gymshark, they've started that. But I guarantee you, there's two of like millions who have tried and tried and tried to do the same thing, and just for whatever reason, sometimes it takes off, sometimes it doesn't. Do you find that as well? There's patterns of, like you said, sometimes it actually works or it just doesn't work. Sometimes these things can just right place, right time, all the planets align, and then you're off. But I can guarantee Gymshark in maybe it's 20 years time, I don't know, they might sell it in 5 probably, but they might have it'll have a different direction. It won't continuously be up all the time. I'm sure every company, Nike, Adidas, the reinvention, everything. It's, you know, I mean, New Balance, where were they till everyone started to wear the New Balance trainers, you know? I remember them from a kid. And
well, people focus on the successes, don't they? But even the successes...
it's a good motivation.
But even the successes, there's problems along the way that maybe get downplayed in the highlight the more positive stuff. But I don't know, it's like resilience, I think, is probably the most useful attribute. And you need a bit of stubbornness as well, so resilience and stubbornness, and that's going to keep you going with that passion as well. So if you've got a real passion for what you do, and you're resilient and you can bounce back from knockbacks, and a little bit of stubbornness and belligerence as well is useful as well. And it's not that you're arrogant or anything like that. It's just if you really believe in something, you think you can offer something, and because like, well, I've said before, like the quality of your work is exceptionally high, right? But there'll be times when it's just not quite right for the client, or it might be it's just not now, or we haven't got the budget, or we can get away with something not as good for the time being. But yeah, it's you got to try not to take it personally.
Yeah.
But it's hard when you're being creative because you're giving
Yeah.
a lot of yourself in that creative process. You're not just selling widgets and things that you don't care about. That's a lot easier.
Yeah.
Than if you're giving yourself through the creative process.
Yeah, because you're putting your whole heart into the business, aren't you? And then you start to take it personally if things do go wrong and you get the rejections. But I don't know. I mean, how do you see patterns of people in successful businesses? I mean, you'll obviously seen. I've seen a lot, the ups and the downs, and you see successful people come down, then they go back up again. Yeah. But it's the resilience and changing it up. Keep going.
I think you can increase it. You know, it's definitely the people that you surround yourself with. So if you surround yourself with people that you look up to or who've been successful, you can learn positive behaviours from them by watching what they do or listening to their advice or asking for advice as well. It's quite hard for a lot of people to ask for help and advice, but people.
That's the thing. If you're not surrounded by people like that, who do you ask? It's kind of, you know.
But you can you can listen to podcasts, you can watch videos. Yeah. I mean, definitely, I think you know him. I mean, you would probably do my head in if I was hanging around with him all the time. But I love Gary Vaynerchuk. Like, so Gary V, right?
Yeah.
So if I need,
I cannot listen to him.
Well, I know, right? But
all good intentions. There's positive things about it, but
if I need a bit of a pep, like a bit of like. G'ing up, I'll listen to a bit of
he's
Gary
almost
V.
been a caricature of himself. Though it's a bit bizarre, but I get where where he's coming from. The intention's good,
but if all you're listening to or
guy,
surrounding yourself with is negativity, right? So sometimes you do need to really insulate yourself from that, because there'll be people around you. Sometimes even your closest friends or family can be really negative, and it's not necessarily. Usually
they want to protect you.
They're trying to protect you, but they are not you.
Yeah.
They don't know what's going on in your head. They don't know what you're capable of, right? So sometimes you have to totally like filter that out.
Yeah, because unless your parents or whoever your friends have been through it, they do not understand exactly what you're going through. You know,
exactly. And I think as well, talking about regionally as well, the Northeast, that it does lag behind other regions in terms of self-employment and entrepreneurship. So
even to this day,
it lags behind pretty much every other region in the country.
Okay.
So chances are you're not going to have many people around you who've done what you're doing or what you're trying to do. So because most people traditionally want to work for a big company. They want to work for a big company, or they want to work for the council or something big, or they want to work in education, and that's nothing wrong with that. But loads of data research shows that actually dampens entrepreneurial spirit as well. When there's opportunities to have a good, well-paying, steady job, people are less likely or willing to what's seen as take a risk in doing something out of the ordinary.
I mean, do you enjoy the risks as well?
Yes, yeah.
I mean, do you go through the ups and downs as well?
Definitely.
You don't have to go too deep into it.
No. Again, I have done recently. I've been talking.
Because I think it helps people as well if you've kind of gone through certain things, then it helps other people understand. Well, if he is, it'd be nice to hear Gary Vee now and again go, I remember times when this, and this, not just telling people, you should do this, bye-bye, and then off the stage, because I've got an issue with that, but...
Yeah, no, definitely, because I think, going back to that feeling like you've got a responsibility as well, if I'm just saying, everything's great, it's cool, like hustle and everything's great. Like, you do need a bit of that. But I have been speaking more openly in recent months about the downsides. So, I mean, one of my podcasts, I did an interview with a lady called Lizzie Hodcroft, who's an amazing, very award-winning entrepreneur, very inspirational lady, but she's had some really, really dark times, and we were talking about the kind of highs and lows of entrepreneurship. So, and how we kind of keep going and pick yourself up through that sort of thing. And then even more recently, I gave a talk as well. There was an International Men's Day event recently that I spoke at, and that I opened myself up made myself quite open and bare at that, because I was talking about the ups and downs as well, because the theme of it the theme of International Men's Day was men leading by example.
Mm-hmm.
So it was meant to be an opportunity to celebrate positive behaviour, role models in community or business and whatever, which is great, because there's a lot of toxic, bad behaviour, right, that rightly should be called out.
Yeah,
but I don't.
definitely.
In the run up to it, I was thinking that I'm seeing a lot of very critical, negative. I'm not seeing much positivity or celebration of good behaviour in men. So I thought, right, okay, here's an opportunity where we can highlight when people are behaving well, and also as a community try and decide what is good behaviour. What anyway. So I thought quite deeply about all of that sort of stuff, and then thinking, well, okay, I'm not just going to stand up and say, "Aren't I great?" and look at all this amazing stuff I'm going to do. So I did in the run up to it. Me and Michael Owen, who you know, it was a guy called Chris Lowther, who's the head of Tyne-Wear Fire and Rescue. He spoke first about his role as a leader, and he said, "I'm very conscious that this is what he said. I'm very conscious that I'm a white middle-aged guy from the Northeast. I can't help that fact. So he gets a lot of criticism for not being as gender diverse or racially diverse in the fire rescue. So he's like, I'm trying, but I need people helping me because I'm seeing it." So he was talking about that, his role as a leader. Then I talked about me and Michael in the run up to it, we put some images out which were leading by example ? So we wanted to change the conversation about, well, yes, here's the headline stuff, super connector, award winner, entrepreneur, blah blah blah, but we also had some words underneath it which are, you know, like stressed, debt, you know, all this kind of and like I can't remember all the words, but it was all kind of negative stuff that people don't see. That I mean, I've definitely got tunnel vision when I'm really into something. I'm so focused on it, and that's a strength and a weakness. But the downside is I can be so focused on something I can forget about other stuff around it, and I need to like snap myself out of it to actually get back into the real world sort of thing. Anyway, the talk was about that, was about all the great stuff, but actually that comes at a cost. You know, the sacrifices that come with that. So definitely with Startup Week, I've done 3 years of that. This year was amazing, but after I was totally exhausted. I was like totally burnt out, and it took me a few months to kind of get my mojo back again. And I've just done that by doing a bit more exercise, going swimming, eating better, sleeping better, surrounding myself with good people who are kind of giving me energy as well, because when you're spending a lot of your time giving energy to other people, you need to top that up yourself. So want to talk about the importance of balance, like yin and yang as well. When you're off balance, that's when you feel a bit lost. The importance of men and women supporting each other. You know, it's not men versus women. You know, it should be, don't bring men down to raise women up. We should like raise each other up. Talking about it should be less me, he or she, and it should be more we, like that, believe in the whole collective community working together. And then I had a slide as well. It was a bit tongue-in-cheek, but it was Luke Skywalker with his hood in Return of the Jedi, because I feel a bit like Luke Skywalker. He's been to a dark place in The Empire Strikes Back, and he's come back stronger in Return of the Jedi, because he's seen the dark side, and he knows kind of he's much more in balance. It's not, the first film is all the New Hope, everything's amazing, like everything's happy. Well, it's obviously bad things going on, but
the journey, isn't it? That's
the second one goes pretty dark, and he's battered and bruised, and he's a bit messed up. But in the third one, he's got that that he's in control of the dark side. He knows when to draw on it to become this like much more powerful. So that's what I feel like I'm.
But I think that should be, like, you know, as we mentioned, it's, you need to have the negativity to learn from that, and then to come back, you know, being able to just manage everything better. I mean, business is that, you know, like you mentioned, business, it's sort of, you've got to go through the bad, and you've got to be overworked to understand what overworked is. You've got to be overstressed to get to that point. But I think there's something very, I don't know, maybe it's addictive about all in all the time, constantly, and then you burn yourself out. But you kind of miss that all in all the time.
Yeah. Well, that's what I told that podcast with Lizzie. We talked about. I think we're kind of almost addicted to the kind of the buzz that you get from. So.
But where does it get you if you do that? It just gets you burnt out and kind of probably not focused as much as you should be. I think sometimes you got to step back and step away.
Well, I've kind of seen where my limits are now. I think because
that's the thing. You know your limits, so now you can manage the limits next time.
What's stupid though is like, it's such a cliche because everything that's kind of happened I knew, like from other books I've read, people I know, like it's like
you're probably advising these people about the very things that you've just got yourself into, like you're advising against. Well, do this and do this and do this.
Well, that's another reason why I wanted to take
your own advice.
Well, that's another reason why I wanted to talk openly about it, because it's like if people are looking up to me, as like some are, some aren't, but definitely everyone in the room probably knew of me or knew what I was doing. So I was like, I want you to be aware. That yes, there are amazing things. I am proud of what I've done, but also there's some sacrifices there, and but I'm doing better, and like I'm okay, but still, they wouldn't have known. But people were coming up afterwards, going, "That was really helpful." I've been through that sort of situation, and then other people saying, "I'm going through that right now." I'm going, and I didn't know what to do about it, so that's actually helped me. And then other people publicly sharing stuff, but also privately messages, people saying, "I heard you talk. That's really helpful to me to know that I'm not alone. I'm not. This is quite normal to feel like this sometimes. So it's helping me take a step back. So I guess that's kind of job done. Do you know what I mean? But by doing that, I've laid myself a bit bare and a bit vulnerable to it. But what I found is when you do that, I want to be that authentic kind of.
The thing is, you do seem authentic and honest, and you seem very open as well to talk and discuss anything. So for me, I kind of thought you would just be comfortable straight away talking like that, but it's nice to hear that you were a little bit. I don't know how much to divulge, if you know what I mean, and sort of how much to push out there. So it's interesting to hear that as well. You know, again, everyone has the kind of hang-ups, and everyone has the thing which they're always aware about, and how much to give and how much not. And you know, I mean, it must be hard for you, especially with you constantly helping people all the time. You know, and you're spending a lot of your free time helping people. I mean, do people take advantage of that as well? Paul,
potentially, again, not, you know,
just because you've let somebody in, and your generosity, it can be like, I haven't got another 2 hours of free generosity to kind of give this week.
I think definitely I'm at the point now where I need to be a lot, kind of a bit stricter, or a bit manage my time a lot better, because I've kind of created a bit of a monster here by being this super connector, and like people know you as that. So usually I'll get messages pretty much every day from people saying, "I've heard you're the guy to meet and kind of pick your brains for over a coffee." It's like, I love coffee, but like I can't just sit drinking coffee all day, because like I've got to make a living somehow. And so actually one thing I've been thinking for a while, but I've actually just started doing it, is I think I might mention it the other day. So start a week, the way it's structured, each day has a different theme. So I'm now structuring my weeks in exactly the same. So day one is inspiration day, right? So if someone gets in touch and says, "Can I meet?" I'm going to try and meet them on a Monday, right? So I'll meet people for a coffee on a Monday. If they can't meet that Monday, they'll have to wait till the next Monday, right? Unless it's me wanting to meet them, then I'll be more flexible. I'm going to try and meet them on a Monday. I'm going to use Mondays to do hopefully something that inspires other people as well. So things hopefully like this podcast, you know, might help or inspire some people. So create a bit of content, my own content, or be part of other people's content, do a bit of learning. So I'm going to use Mondays to educate myself, do a bit of like personal training, like mentally, you know, skills, learn new skills or something, and just use that day to kind of soak up ideas and fill up the cup, you know, soak up some ideas and inspiration. Then day two, getting started. It's the same format as start a week. So I'm going to use day two to, okay, I've been inspired, now I'm going to crack on and make things happen.
Yeah.
So day 2 is the getting started day. Day 3 is the funding and finance day. So I'm going to use the Wednesdays to send out invoices, chase up invoices, make sure I'm getting paid.
The fun day.
Because I love sending out invoices. I love getting paid, right? And then Thursdays, scale up.
Yeah.
So how do you grow your business, take it to the next level, think a bit bigger, improve systems and processes. And then Friday, keep going or pivot. So that's a day to reflect and review how the week's gone, how the month's going, how the year's going. So that works really well. That is like a very that's the whole kind of business entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah.
But I'm now starting to do that myself with my own weeks and being. There'll be a bit of flex in there as well, but if I can dedicate at least the afternoon of each of those days to those themes.
Well, I suppose that kind of stops you having to think about what I'm doing today, because you might have a list, like 6 things, which you've got to try and cram in, but spreading the thing out, dedicating days, and at least it takes that decision away from what I'm going to do today.
Yeah.
Because you could kind of procrastinate for an hour and just think, well, what am I going to do? Should I do this? Should I do that? And you're an hour in and you just wasted an hour. So I think it's a good idea to have a structure.
Yeah.
I think everybody needs a structure in life as well. And I mean,
especially if you're self-employed and you don't have anyone telling you what to do or when to do it,
Because plus you might need to step back or do something different. And you mentioned as well, you've been starting to swim. I mean, how good is obviously physical activity for yourself? I mean, I know I can't do without it, but someone like you said you just come back into it doing that kind of thing.
Well, so that's the thing. I've never been particularly athletic or sporty, so at the age of 42 I finally decided to do some exercise. So I used to this is something I want to start doing. I used to do climbing, like rock climbing, or bouldering. Really like that when I do it.
That's super hard as well, isn't it? It's really takes it out of you.
You get a good workout, but also particularly, well, I usually do indoor climbing, but I like it when you go outdoors as well. So I'm going to try and do that in the new year. But it was just, like I say, after Startup Week this year, I was just like, I need to like sort things out, because I felt a bit out of control in that I wasn't doing any exercise, wasn't sleeping very well. I was just working all the time. Just felt like I was constantly giving to other people and not really taking any time out for myself. So
it gets a bit monotonous if you're doing the same thing over and over again. You don't take that time for yourself.
Well, I was literally, there was not any moment in the day when I wasn't doing anything when I wasn't doing something for myself, because it was, if all day you're helping other people, and you run an event and you literally all day helping other people, and then you're not necessarily getting anything back other than you like helping other people, but your bank balance isn't improving, it's going down if anything, right? And then if you're tired and you've got family at home as well, and you're trying to be there for them, and you again, that you're giving a lot of yourself, or trying to give a lot of yourself through your family. And so I just thought, okay, what can I do that I'm gonna stick to? So there's like the Crowne Plaza hotel behind the train station. That's kind of, I spend quite a bit of time there anyway, because it's good for having meetings. It's a convenient place to have meetings in the reception area. But that's very kind of close to Startup Week, because the day one of Startup Week is at the Boiler Shop, which is next to that. And I usually stay in the Crowne Plaza, and I was doing a bit of work for the owner of the Crowne Plaza for a little while, a bit of consultancy with her. So that's kind of somewhere I go to anyway, and they've got a really nice gym, really nice pool, steam room, sauna, hot tubs. So it's on the way to work. So I just thought, right, I'm going to join the gym, join the spa. And so every day, Monday to Friday, I've been going there for the past 3.5 months, 4 months.
Okay. Yeah. So
literally every Monday to Friday.
Yeah, so you're right into it now,
And it's, I'm not going like mega long. I'm not going for hours. It's maybe 30-40 minutes. Yeah. But it's a good start to the day. I'm up early anyway, so I go there, have a bit of a swim, might go in the steam room, and usually go in the hot tub for a little bit. But it's exercise, but it's relaxation as well, and I feel better for it, because again, I'm not in the gym, I'm not competing with anyone, I'm just competing with myself. Again, it's quite symbolic. I think when you're swimming, you're just competing with yourself. you can almost meditate, but you're just alone with your own thoughts.
Yeah.
There's usually one or maybe two people in there, so it's peaceful as well.
Yeah, don't tell anyone, because
people start going there now just to see me swimming. Don't go there.
Yeah, if you want advice, walking alongside you when you're swimming.
Yeah, probably. No, but that's good. And then just sleeping better and eating better as well.
Yeah. But do you find doing the swimming is it's a knock-on effect? You feel like you want to eat better, and you want to
definitely,
and you're more tired, so you're going to get the rest quicker or easier.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm naturally slim, but I'm just getting a bit of a belly,
getting the dad bod on. Yeah, okay.
Getting a bit of but
it's how you're feeling yourself, really, isn't it? That's the important thing, because if it's going to energize you, but you go, right, okay, this is an hour or even 45 minutes, it's not a long time, is it? Just for yourself, and it's gonna, it is gonna energize you a little bit more.
Definitely.
Plus,
well, I feel better for it, physically and mentally, and I definitely, I noticed a difference. I am physically better shape than I was before.
I mean, for me, the top advice would be to do that every single, when you start a weeks. And if you had any advice for anybody that was kind of just feeling a bit down, I would be like, get yourself to a gym, turn up, train, get somebody to do it with you, swim, do whatever, even get up early and go for walks and things like that. For me, that's as important as grinding it out and doing the work, because anything, nutrition, sleep and everything, it is, But if you're going to feel better and feel more youthful, then you got more energy to do the things that you want to be doing, especially in business. So I
mean, for me, it's convenient going there, so
it's got to fit in with your lifestyle as well.
So what was putting me off doing that before, I think, was the thought of going to a gym, so having to travel during the day to go to a gym. It's
do your thing.
Well, actually, it's literally just around the corner, and it's kind of on the way. So I get the bus into town, go there, and I'm into work. I'm in the co-working space just around the corner. So it's just convenient. So that's why I'm sticking at it, because it fits in with my workload.
And we'll back to the business things. You've just recently won an award as well, so big pat on the back for yourself about that. It's was it the Impact Awards? Is that right?
Yeah, delighted. So North East Times magazine. I think it is the best business publication in the North East. So editorially, it's fantastic, and visually it looks great. Like the photography in there from Chris Owens. He's a friend of yours, but
never heard of him.
But he's the guy that did the he described it as iconic photos of the hood and stuff like that. So it's definitely something I think a lot of people aspire to be in the magazine anyway. Right? And I've been fortunate enough to get some positive media coverage in the magazine, and like interviews and editorial pieces about me and startup and stuff like that. But then I think this is the second or third year they've done the Impact Awards, and it's all about celebrating people who've had a positive impact on the Northeast. So one of the categories was profile, so someone who's used their profile to the best effect to promote the region nationally and internationally. So if there's an award that's kind of designed for what I do, that's like the perfect award. So really delighted to have won that, because it's, again, I don't do what I do to win awards, but it's still an amazing feeling when you get that recognition and the vibe in the room and the congratulations you get from people.
Yeah, it's going to pick you up a little bit as well. I mean, obviously, we all say we don't do things for awards, but when you're recognised in your field and your profession, it's just nice to get something back a little bit, because a lot of the times you never hear about it. So it must have been nice for you to be recognised, especially profile, because it's you helping other people.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It's a perfect award for what I do, and like I say, like a really nice way to end the year as well, because I have done some amazing things this year, but I have had a bit of a dip as well in more recent months, and then kind of back up again. So to have this award to like round off the year.
I mean, do you recognise it in yourself as well, Paul? It's hard to kind of go, I've actually done some good stuff. Do you recognise that in yourself? Or are you like, no, because taking compliments is awful, and I'm not sure. People in business take compliments well, or anyone takes compliments well.
I'm uncomfortable. So I'm much more comfortable giving other people.
Yeah, it's easy giving other people praise as well.
But I'm getting better. And what was that? I was reading there's a guy, another podcast blogger, amazing guy called Derek Sivers, and he's just done a podcast. His podcasts are like 2 minutes, 3 minutes long, but he's just done one all about how to take a compliment.
Okay, yeah,
it's great.
Just say thank you.
He said most people are like, oh no, not at all. And he's like, but actually, that person, it takes a lot for that person to actually give you a compliment. Yeah. So you shouldn't take that away from them if they've sort of almost plucked up the courage or felt like you've had an impact on them so much that they want to give you a compliment. You should let them do that. And he said all you should do is say thank you. Right.
I've heard that. People just say thank you.
But then you can ask them some stuff about themselves and what they do and show an interest in them. He's saying that's the best way to take a compliment.
I wonder why it's hard to take the compliment. It's just the tension on yourself, because if you're helping people a lot. I mean, everyone says, but you must love it. You must do this. You must do that. Well, some people actually don't. People don't. They like the pat on the back, but I don't know. Is it an upbringing thing? Is it kind of the way people are? I'm not sure. I don't know whether it's
probably all. It probably is all these things. Culture, sort of upbringing, kind of, because it's not. I think it is. I mean, you're getting quite deep into all this. It's quite a northern thing as well, right?
Yeah, they shrug it off and
just head down, just crack on, just do things and not make a fuss.
Work ethic,
but even within the north, it's not uniform. When I work for Tech North, which is a government organisation, spent a lot of time researching the differences between different towns and cities in the north of England. So even I mean, a lot of people are familiar with the idea of Manchester, Mancunian swagger. I've blogged about the Mancunian swagger. You can just think of we talked about Hacienda, Tony Wilson, Factory Records, Happy Mondays, Gallagher's.
About them.
There's something about the Manchester United. Like there's something about the Manc kind of psyche, where a bit cocky and a bit swagger around them that can be off-putting to some, but I think it'd be good if people in the northeast had a little bit more Mancunian swagger without losing the kind of the humbleness and kind of
because I find being humble, being polite and being friendly, all the things that you hear when you're outside the region.
Yeah, people often talk about that. They comment on that being unique about the region, which is great.
Yeah, but it kind of it has an adverse effect. It's the same with what you're saying about the yin and the yang. You know, as you might get walked over a little bit. Yeah, well, you might not be able to stick up for yourself. Do you know what I mean? And it's one of those.
Well, even Newcastle, right? So talking about football, right? I think a lot of people like Newcastle United or like Newcastle United fans, but do they respect and fear the fans or the club?
Right.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But Manchester United, people might not like them, but they respect and they fear them whenever they used to play them, particularly under Alex Ferguson.
Yeah.
So what do you want? Do you want to be just everyone likes you?
Yeah.
But they don't really respect you and don't really get behind you.
Yeah.
Or do you want someone? Yeah. So what I think, as getting again quite deep, what does the region, what does the northeast want? Do they want to be just everyone? Oh, they're dead canny. Those Geordies are dead canny. They're right laugh.
I mean, is that something you kind of try and encourage us to be a bit more? Be a bit more confident about yourself? Because I mean, for me, I think it's self-esteem and confidence is one of the two main things everybody should be taught from since you kind of can walk, right? And then I think those two things will help you throughout your whole life, because if you've got those, then you can shrug things off a little bit easier because you've got the confidence and you've got the self-esteem, and I think it's the encouragement of that. And a lot of people, I come across, talk to friends, people even including myself, that was one of those things which you had to work on throughout most of your life. And I even think people into the 30s and 40s, they're still just getting to grips with that now. And I think that's one of the main things for me that people should be working on from the off, not everything else. Don't follow the things, don't follow the trends. Should figure out what you really want to focus on as well. I mean, you must see this all the time as well, especially in startups and business as well, because people might get a little confused about the path they want to go on, but you know, I think it's great for you to kind of come along and be the, you know, the person on the outside looking in going, I love those traits. Just try and work on pushing that aside, because really focus on that, and then when they start forgetting about that, then they can really kind of get into what they want to do, because there's always something holding them back. But what's holding them back? And for me, it's that little self-doubt, the self-esteem, or how they're being brought up in the area.
Everybody's got it. It's hard to shake off.
It is. I mean, do you find people can shake it off? You can teach that to people?
I mean, you know, even myself, you know, like I'm still, there's still a lot of the time I think, despite all the great things that I've done or that people think I've done or whatever, I definitely don't feel like I've made it, or like I'm not at the pinnacle of what I want to do.
It's the journey. There's no finish line, is there? So,
exactly. So trying to enjoy that along the way, but again, I'm much more comfortable being behind the scenes and being, even Startup Week, I'm more comfortable. I'm not the star. Like, I'm not like Kanye West coming on stage with floodlights all above you and like the only person on stage. I'm not like that. I'm much more comfortable on stage with someone else, bouncing off someone else, or being more the kind of bridge between one speaker or one thing to another. So I'm more the producer, the kind of conduit, and that's much more fitting with my personality. And even going back to the DJing side of things, like when there's a great book called Last Night a DJ Saved My Life. It's all about the history of DJs, and the DJs that I was most inspired by were not the ones where all the attention was on them, the ones where they were often in darkness behind a screen. You couldn't even see them. They were just, it was their job to control the mood and the vibe of the club. The stars were the clubbers and the music, and that was much more my style when I was DJing. I wasn't as comfortable. I wasn't comfortable, like hands in the air, look at me, people looking at me. It was much more. I like the ability to shape and control the mood and look around, read the audience, see who. Okay, that person's really into it. They're really into it. Okay, how do you get that flowing across the room, and how do you basically, how do you make sure they have an amazing night? Because you have that ability. And even with the Startup Week, the way I program the speakers, I approach it like a DJ set. So the DJs, the speakers flow. So taking people on a journey each day and across the week. Most people, there's a lot of thought goes into that, and they're not just randomly put there, and people comment on, wow, that speaker was amazing, they flowed really well into that one, and then that one, and they don't realise how or why. But
well, it's good that you can see that, because everybody is different and everyone's approach is different. Some people like to be strict and read it and memorise it and go up and do the thing. Some people like to wing it. Some people have got, it's all different personalities, isn't it? So
but you got to really know the speaker and kind of the content and kind of it's like knowing the records inside out. You know, you got to know like where how it's going to flow, and where how you mix it all together to get the overall effect that you're looking for.
I mean, just to kind of finish on the last note, your passion for it, I mean, can you see this just going on until the end of time, and you know, are you want to change it? Do you want to grow it? Do you want to build it? Do you want to, is there anything? Have you got any ideas which you want to, you can see working? And
what, in terms of Startup Week or other
just everything, because obviously you've got the startup, but you go, actually, I've got an idea, this might work with this, and then it might grow from there. And are there any other avenues you kind of thinking about going down, with the Startup Week?
I mean, so the interesting thing about that, so Startup Week is basically the perfect, and it's the embodiment of me, like everything that I'm all about, like bringing people together, shine a light on the region, inspiring people, motivating people, helping people, practical help and advice, making people fall in love with the region a bit more, attracting people from outside. It's everything that I want to do and I like doing in 1 week, right? So that absolutely love started. I'm really proud of what we've done there. But the first year it was just, can I do it? It was just like, I've got an idea. I think this is what the Northeast needs. I think it'll work. Let's give it a go. So I did it. It worked. Got loads of amazing feedback. And then the second year was, can I do it again better? Which I did. And then this year was with a few new elements. And then this year was, okay, again, can we add more to it and make it bigger? So the first 2 years we had 600 people. This year we had 800. We did the first 2 years. It was even though it's a 5-day event, it's really 5 afternoons and a night time. But this year we had fringe events on the morning as well. So we had 16 events over 5 days, so morning, afternoon and night, in different venues across Newcastle and Gateshead. And we had a lot more people coming from outside the region as well, and internationally as well.
Okay.
So that's a big thing. I've been spending a lot of time focusing on how to have stronger links between the Northeast and Scotland. I think there's a big opportunity to bring particularly Newcastle and Edinburgh closer together and get more cross-promotion and movement between those two cities, and Glasgow as well, and the Nordics as well. Been doing a bit of work trying to bring particularly Denmark. So I've been over there. I've had some people coming over from there.
So what's their feedback coming over? Because it's interesting to hear that. You know, it's because you start out with something and then it kind of grows, but then you go, actually, I'm seeing people coming in from different areas, especially outside the area. So how can that incorporate with, you know, the Northeast? And are people coming because they're passionate about it and they go, actually, I like what you're doing?
Yeah, obviously, I'm probably the best ambassador for it, obviously. So I'm out there talking about it all the time, which is one of the reasons I got that award. But I've been up to Edinburgh quite a lot the last 12 to 18 months. I've been over to Copenhagen. I've been over to a big event called Web Summit in Lisbon last year and this year. That's a massive event, 70,000 people. Basically, the world comes to Lisbon. So I've been out there flying the flag for the Northeast, encouraging people to come over, and it's working. Like when I'm telling people about it and I'm showing them photos of what it is, even though they're at an event with 70,000 people, particularly this year, I was showing people, and people were like, I would rather come to your event than this event because this event's too big, it's overwhelming. But your event sounds like amazing because they love the 5-day theme. That whole entrepreneurial journey, the size of it's a nice size,
easy to communicate, and
so I think we're at that stage now where when people hear about it, they want to come. So definitely, I don't want to move it. I'm not really interested in doing it anywhere outside the region. I want to keep it here, but I want to bring the world here. So trying to do as much as to make it a bit more national and international. That's a plan for next year. I'd like to grow it a bit more, but not 70,000 people, because that requires millions of investment, you know. And took them 10 years to get to that stage. But making it more, make it bigger, better, more international, make it more sustainable as well, and less reliant on me as well, because there's a lot of human effort goes into that, and although I do have a group of amazing people working with me on the event, they tend to get more involved closer to the event, but I'm the one who's pushing it and promoting it all year round, 12 months. So that there's a lot of me. If I'm not doing it, no one else is doing it, you know. So,
but obviously you feel you've got to still keep your hands on it to a certain degree, because it won't be what it is without you. You know? So
Well, even this year, I wasn't sure if I was going to do a fourth year. I was like kind of thinking, well, maybe the trilogy, maybe I've done the trilogy enough. Maybe that's enough. I'm knackered and amazing as it is, but it was only on the Thursday night when I decided I was going to do a fourth one. So every day was going brilliantly. That's the thing. I'm looking for real time feedback. I'm watching the audience like a DJ. I'm watching the audience. I'm listening to the feedback. I'm speaking to the team, and it was just amazing. And then it was a Thursday night when I thought, of course I'm going to do another one again, because I was enjoying it so much. But I definitely need better systems and processes, more people involved, so it's not just me doing most of it. I need other people to feel some ownership over it as well, and realize that they get a lot out of it as well, that it's not just because if I don't do it, no one else is going to do it. That started week. Definitely, I think I want to bit like you. I think I think I need to get better at helping lots of people with less effort, if you know what I mean. So maybe the podcasts, more videos. So again, it's less time intensive.
Yeah.
So there's certain things I get asked again and again. So if I could just say, well, here's a video, watch this video, you're gonna get everything from there.
Yeah.
Or come to we do Founders Friday events, come to Founders Friday or come to Startup Week, you're gonna get everything you need in that one day or those 5 days, more than you'll get if you sit with me having a coffee for it.
Yeah.
Great as that is, you know.
Well, you don't have time to do it, you know.
Well, or just be stricter. Like Monday, that's the day I'm going to do that. But I think I need to, a bit like going back to the DJing and music production thing. I think I'm not spending enough time on being creative, and my output isn't as great as it could be.
Yeah, because your kind of passion will dwindle a little bit as well. You know, you don't want, you want to keep the fire burning. You know, you don't want to be losing you know, passion about the thing, do you?
So I want to spend more time creating good quality content in the form of, you know, I started a podcast, I've done 4.
The
Super Connector show, I've done 4 so far, which is good. Feedback's great, but I got busy doing the Starter Week. So I want to start them again and make them a regular thing and commit to that. More videos, definitely. Do a bit more writing as well. You know, I'm quite like writing, and I'm pretty good at it when I focus on it.
Do you think there's a book on the horizon?
Probably, yeah. I think there's probably several books.
Well, it's a good time, you know. I mean, I think because you've got a lot to say as well, and with you enjoying the writing as well. I think there's definitely a book on the horizon. I think.
So there's loads of things I want to do, but as long as I'm still helping, I'm adding value. I'm hopefully helping and supporting and inspiring other people, but inspiring myself as well. That's important. Brilliant. And feel like I've got that. I'm excited about 2020.
Yeah, good. Well, just so everybody knows, I'm sure everybody knows anyway, your handles and your Twitter, where to find you, if you just want to say where to find you.
Just, consistent. It's Lord Lancaster on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram.
Why the Lord Lancaster? So I was intrigued.
Again, goes back to the DJing side of things. So when I was still at school, when I was daydreaming about being a DJ, I was doodling what I thought were cool DJ names. So my first one was DJ Storm Kicking Up a Hurricane. Okay. Which is a terrible name, right? Yeah. But and then I thought Lord Lancaster, because Judge Jules was quite sort of big at the time, and I thought, you're influenced by the type of music you're into, right? So that was kind of floating around. But then when I did become a DJ, semi-professional DJ producer, a lot of the music I was listening to, the DJ producers just used their normal name. They didn't have a pseudonym or anything like that. So I didn't call myself Lord Lancaster. I just called myself Paul Lancaster. Right? I might be more successful if I called myself Lord Lancaster. But then, a few years later, I started working for Shell Livewire, which is a youth enterprise scheme. And first day on the job or whatever, the job was giving help and advice on a message board and on the phone, email, events and stuff like that. And the guy who was setting up the IT, he was like, you need to come up with a username. What do you want to call yourself? And it just popped into my head.
It's always been there though, isn't it? It's always been in the back of your mind.
I thought it was quite funny, quite amusing, because it's like, I like the alliteration, Lord Lancaster, rolls off the tongue. It denotes a certain level of authority. Because I was there to moderate and answer questions. So the Lord, Lord Lancaster, quite amusing. I guess.
It's a bit of fun.
Memorable, so I've just kept it since then. But some people are never quite sure if I am a Lord or not. So I'm not yet, but I'm working on it. So.